What is your idea on healthcare?
My idea in healthcare is to get rid of the chronic disease. That's what we spend $4.3 trillion in healthcare. And 80% of that is that goes to chronic disease. So everybody, like I said, everybody's idea is are different ways of assigning the cost, but nobody's talking about how do you reduce the cost. What I'm going to do is reduce the cost. I'm going to identify what's causing chronic disease and eliminate those exposures. And then, then we go back to 1960 when we had 6% chronic disease and we were paying 1/20th for our health care that we are today. Those costs, is eliminating chronic disease are going to make those costs drop.
So you don't, you're not a Medicare for all guy?
Well, my choice would be Medicare for all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but not immediately. I think you need a private
like something like Australia?
Well, I don't know, what country I would model after, but I think that Medicare for all ought to be available for people and with public-private options available as well. If you want to go to private insurer for, concierge service or whatever, that you can do that and give people as much freedom as possible. But guarantee health care. But
you would guarantee health care for everybody in America?
Well, my best option would be to do that. I don't think that you can do that all at once, and I can tell you this. That is a battle that I think is polarizing, and that is because the power of the pharmaceutical industry and the power of the medical cartel, that it's just, at this point, it's too much of a heavy lift. So, you're never going to get there. So what I'm going to focus on is things that I can actually do, and not promise people things that I'm not going to be able to do.
What about a public option?
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about that. You could do that. That's what you're saying, but you couldn't.
Well, no, I don't even know if you could do a public option at this point with this Congress.
Oh, okay.
But my choice would be, would be to begin with a public option, and then Medicare. If Medicare for all would take years to work out the kinks to make sure that people like it, that it's popular, that they're doing it right. You need to have a public option during that period anyway. So that's how I do it. I'm not running on that issue. Because what I'm running on are issues that I think every American is going to be able to get behind, and that is going to avoid the polarization. And but if you ask me personally, what I think the fairest way to do it, I don't think what's happening now, where we have this monetized system that is brutal. And
it's the worst system.
Yeah, it's the worst system in the world. We spend more than anybody else, and we get we're 79th in terms of outcomes. So we're behind Mongolia, we're behind Cuba. We have the sickest population in the world. We pay more for healthcare than anybody in the world. It's not working.
It's not working.
Right, but what I'm trying to focus on is things that I can politically get done in my first term in office. And Obama basically blew all of his capital on Obamacare, and that was and people are still.
Barack Obama never had any intention of doing anything with his capital. He did exactly what he wanted to do. He made the banks richer while he kicked 5.1 million families out of their homes. He made it okay to propagandize our own people. Now the CIA spies on us, lies to.
That was a big mistake.
But he repealed habeas corpus, so now all they have to do is say you're a terrorist, you're an environmental terrorist, and I don't have to give you a trial. And anyway, Barack Obama was a disaster. And that's the problem, right? Because he's just a smooth talker, and he made people feel good about the horrible things he was doing. And so I don't think that the Democrats are a lesser evil. And they haven't been since Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton did things that George Herbert Walker Bush could not do, like NAFTA, like gutting welfare and exploding the prison population and deregulating Wall Street at the same time. They wouldn't let a Republican do that, just like they wouldn't have let John McCain drop more bombs than George Bush, but they let Barack Obama do it. And so when Donald Trump became president, my prediction came true that people are going to now start scrutinizing what the president's doing, and they did. And that's when they found out about kids in cages, even though Barack Obama and Joe Biden built those cages, deported twice as many Hispanics as Donald Trump did. And so so when a Democrat becomes president, like Joe Biden, everybody goes back to sleep. Like Barack Obama, nobody knew that Barack Obama was dropping more bombs than George Bush, doing Libya, Syria, Afghanistan for 20 minutes. Just horrible, horrible things that we wouldn't let Republicans do. I think people would be outraged, right? That right now, if Donald Trump was saber rattling with 2 nuclear powers, everybody's hair would be on fire. But because it's Joe Biden and the Democrats doing it, they think it's good. They think somehow it's the moral and Christian thing to do.
What the really weird thing is for me to think about, because President Biden started censoring me 37 hours after he took office. The White House contacted Twitter and said, we want, Robert Kennedy's account off of Twitter. 37 hours after he took the oath of office. And this is all in this 155-page decision by Judge Doty. And they were telling Twitter didn't want to censor me. And Twitter ended up censoring me the least. But, 3 weeks after that, Instagram took my account down. Facebook, was all in on it. And what they were saying to Twitter is, if you don't censor him and a bunch of other people, we're going to yank your Section 230 immunity. And Section 230 is existential for these companies. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg said that is existential. Without Section 230, Facebook
Section 230 protects the social media companies from being sued as if they were a publisher.
Or defamation, right? So you could slander me. You can go onto Facebook and you can say, Robert Kennedy's a Nazi, right? He's a member of the Nazi Party of America, when that's a lie. And I then can say, I can then sue you, but I can't sue Facebook.
Right.
And if I could sue Facebook, they would have to vet with a lawyer every single post on Facebook, and they'd be out of business.
Right.
They have a section called Section 230, the Communications Act, I think, that it says they don't have to, that they're protected against that. And what the White House was telling Twitter and Facebook is, if you don't censor these guys, and they were censoring us, talking about the Ukraine war, for criticizing it. At one point, there was a satire about President Biden and his wife that they wanted removed. So, these were like just political decisions that, they weren't even, and my information, by the way, I never posted not a single bit of what was misinformation. They had to invent a new word. What I was posting was factually correct. Everything I posted on Instagram was cited to a peer-reviewed publication or to a government database. So I was very careful. And we have a big, at CHD, Children's Health Defense, a big infrastructure, fact-checking infrastructure, probably more robust than anybody else. Oh, they had to invent a new word called malinformation.
Yes.
Which is not misinformation, malinformation, which is information that is technically true, but it's inconvenient for the government.
Yes.
So, and that's what they were censoring me for. So, so they were, making that threat. We're going to pull your Section 230 immunity unless you shut down our political opponents. What if President Trump had done that? What would we be doing if he had done that? Okay, at what level would the decibels be of our objections if President Trump did that? And
there's no objection because it's being done by. In fact, people say it's not even happening, even though
I've been told again and again. I mean, in fact, what's his name? Lawrence O'Donnell did this big hit piece on me, and he said in there, Robert Kennedy says he's been censored. He has never been censored.
Oh my God!
And I don't know whether Lawrence O'Donnell thinks that if he's not paying attention, if they just live in a bubble where they don't even know what's happening in this country right now, I don't know.
There couldn't be a guy who knows less about what's happening in the country than any of the hosts on MSNBC. How about that? Come see our live shows. We're going to be in Chicago, Rosemont, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, New York City, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Stamford, Toronto, Toledo, Detroit, St. Louis, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.